Hey everyone, welcome back to another video. Today we got a lot of stuff to do because Brickworld is directly upon us. It's like, hold on. It's like less than 2 months away, and I have a lot of things to build, beginning with what we're going to start today. I wanna try and document some of the building process that I'm going to be doing over the next few months, because there's a whole bunch of it that's going to get done over the next 2 months, and then right after that I'm going to have to go and reorganize and remanage everything that I've been sweeping under the rug basically for like months now. Maybe I'll put in a little montage of all the stuff that's just everywhere that's been building up probably since like before August, which since then I've bought collections and done a bunch of mocks, including my Order 66 one, which I posted last week. Thanks for the wonderful response in the video, but since then I've thrown it in the closet because I have nothing to do with it and I don't want to take the time to either tear it apart or, and it's not going to take up space on my table right now because I need to build. And then I also cleaned up just so that today's building process and over the next few weeks, hopefully I can get this done in a month, is as smooth as possible. And I've also done some planning, which I'll show you, and then I can go over it a little bit and then actually get some piece laying down and stuff. But yeah, basically there's going to be some more interesting things happening, because over the past few months it's just been pretty slow. I spent like a ridiculous amount of time on that Order 66 mock, and then also just kind of been like sorting whenever I felt like I wanted to, even though I really didn't ever. So not really a lot of exciting things, but there's going to be a lot happening really soon. So I thought I would maybe start this kind of like vlog sort of thing, and I think we can get into exactly what I want to start building today, which is not really a big reveal because you probably saw it in the title, but I'm going to be building, actually you're not really going to be able to see on this paper anyway because it's a little bit overexposed, Radis's cruiser, or the MC-75 cruiser from Rogue One. Basically the one that gets like destroyed right at the end and then the Tantive narrowly escapes from it. That's going to be the one, the rebel capital ship in the Scarif battle, which is going to be placed in a much bigger space layout at Brickworld Chicago with some other incredibly talented builders, part of our much bigger Rogue One chronology collaborative build, Rebel Lugs. So it's going to be super awesome. I'm really excited, although the clock is definitely ticking to Brickworld Chicago because, I think we've all basically procrastinated on this. Alright, so before everything can actually get built and I can, start putting bricks down and everything, there is a level of planning that has to be done. Just whenever you have time to do some thinking or whatever, maybe you're sitting in class or just in a long car ride, I don't know. That's when I try and figure out how this is actually all going to come together, physically with the pieces. I have a few different things here. I'm going to show you one thing over on my computer. This is the Art of Rogue One book. So there's a bunch of really cool things in here. Just like 300 pages of it. But right here at the end is what we need probably the most right now, which is all the late concept art and final concept art of Radis's cruiser, which are just like some really nice looking crisp detail images of it, with no compression or any effects from the movie, and it's really great to see everything that I'm hopefully going to need to see. But I have one more thing which I think is going to be even better over on my computer. I have these scaling, just kind of, I guess, calculations, so that the ship would be 100 studs long, and then the width and the height would be proportional to that. So it's going to be 42 studs tall. As you can see, it has this massive like fin or wing thing going down below and on top of it. So that's going to be around 42 studs to the top of here and to the bottom of here. 100 studs long and 28 studs wide. And by the way, when I say 42 studs, I mean like 42 vertical studs this way. So it's gonna be pretty tall and probably pretty difficult to support because all the weight of this body is going to have to supported that high. And then just some other things over here. This is just some ideas that I came up with for how to incorporate these quarter cylinders over here into the very edge of these curves, because this ship has a bunch of weird angles and different textures and things all over it, making it a very odd shape of a ship. Definitely not just a bunch of angles and square bits.
So basically how all these curves are going to be incorporated and strongly incorporated into the main structure and main frame, and how it's actually going to look cool with all these curves and stuff, and also, you know, look right. That's what we're going for, so we'll see how well that goes. Moving on, I've just got one more thing over here on my computer. This is kind of like the holy grail of everything I've discovered. Somebody out there made a 3D model of Radis's cruiser, which I can interact with here and see everything basically just like in some like kind of raw format of the ship without trying to scrub through the movie to see what it looks like and get all my scaling down and stuff. So it's really easy to see all the details and everything, and then there's also just like some images over here, some really nice looking images of the ship. I think that those are actually mounting points because this is supposed to be a 3D model like for your desk, but everything else looks really great, and I'm super excited to work with this because I think it's going to make it a lot easier. And then this thing right here, this long piece, is basically just for physical scaling so that I can see what everything's going to look like in reality, and then, you know, I can make little marks on that. This is a 100 studs long because that's how long I want the ship to actually be. Maybe also I think I'm gonna do some scale drawings so that I can line up what I'm doing. It's really easy and there's no guessing or counting as we go. You just line up what you're building to the drawing, and then you're always on the same page and making sure that it's all going correctly. But yeah, so that's the planning as of now, and maybe I'll get on to just building some of the frame now, and possibly also those drawings if I decide to now, or if I want to do it later. I don't know. Alright, so now we've got just a little bit done of this ship. Obviously there's a considerable amount more to get done, but you wouldn't believe how long it's taken me to actually get to this point, simply because I've been procrastinating on this project a whole bunch and basically distracting myself from trying to get to work on it, because like the idea of this first like work session on this was to just prove the concepts that I came up with. But that's been sort of a struggle so far, but it's fine because I think I've come to some good conclusions with how this is actually going to start coming together. So I guess we can get to a little bit of explanation of that, which is basically what I have here. Obviously this is only one sliver of the entire ship, and this is going to have to, if you know, I can't replicate this all the way down, or else it'll just be like one big like straight tube. So instead there's obviously going to be some heavy modification to this like basic design as it goes down. But the good thing about this ship is it's got a pretty consistent design to it. It's all pretty flat, so hopefully these techniques can transfer over for the majority of it. But yeah, we'll see how that goes. Anyway, so to begin, we can start with this first spine of the ship. That's basically what this big thing is. This is going to be the main supporting structure that ties the ship together. It actually splits right here in the middle for transportation's sake, because I'm taking this to Brickworld Chicago. Those 4 beams on the side hold it together with just tacking pins. You can see them right there. And I did that 2-plate gap split to make sure that these bricks again lined up how I wanted them to. I don't remember if I actually mentioned this already because I filmed a couple things over the past few weeks, and a lot of it's I'm not going to include because this has just been a lot of like really boring trial and error. The stands lock in pretty easily. There's just some Technic bricks at the top of these snot beams, and then those rods can just easily go through them, so it makes it easy to move the ship if need be. And now on to the main section, which is the majority of the hull of the ship. Ooh, is that a lens flare? Did you guys see that? Sick. So the big technique here for the top is that curved 1x2 brick technique, which is looking pretty good, although that can't curve very sharp at all. This is about as sharp as it actually can curve for what I can tell up here on the top. It just won't really go much farther, but this is just about as much as we need. It is actually going to have to curve, how should I portray this, like this way, kind of, at some point, but I think that's going to work out well. Just a little bit of extra flex in these bricks. Jang can get on me for illegal techniques or whatever, but we'll see. Anyway, and then down here at the bottom is kind of a similar thing, but I think I'm going to keep the big curve is going to be this the quarter. Hold on. The big curve is going to be the quarter cylinder here at the bottom. That's what's going to account for most of it, and I think this could really just be like a straight bricks, but it could also have a flex to it if it has to. It just doesn't really need it at all right there. And then it all is covered up by these pieces here at the end that have panels on them that look pretty flush, especially from the top. I'm really liking those. Those are going to be pretty essential to how this all comes together and how I can adjust those to get the right curving and such. So I'm going to have to play with basically how those are mounted. They're pretty, how should I put this? Just basically mounted right now, but I think they're going to have more complicated things to get them correctly positioned. And then right here, this is also just kind of an important part, is I used some hinge bricks to mount that curved part and this part down here, since it's just kind of like an arbitrary angle. And you can see I used, again, the reason that there's two plates right there is so that that's able to easily mount in there on its side. But yeah, anyway, I think I'm going to try and get some more progress done now, so I can at least have something to show for myself now that we're like less than a month, maybe around 3 weeks, maybe even less from leaving for Brickworld, which is exciting and both terrifying because there's a lot of other things that have to get built, and hopefully I can use these vlogs to pull me through that. Alright, so after quite a bit of just restructuring and reworking this, I think I've got it at a point where I could start trying to figure out the next stage of this. Now that obviously there's not actually these attachments on there yet, and these attachments are actually going to change down the length of the ship, I can start trying to figure out the rest of this, as in like this top hull part, because it's going to be slightly different than it was before, since this isn't going to be like the same mounting situation. I guess now I'm like ditching that whole two plate thing so that I could have really strong connections for the curved wall parts that are going to go on the top and bottom, which I guess kind of sucks, but you know, I guess you do what you can with what we're working with here, which is of course Lego. I forget if I showed this already earlier. Of course, if I did, I'll cut this out, but there's a bunch of prototypes over here that I'd like to show you guys really quick, that I was working on basically for the underside of this ship, and I don't think I'm going to be using any of these anymore, but they still might be kind of cool to show you. So this one was kind of like this, the under like plating area would be connected with these Technic connectors, because I really like these because they have like, you know, just strong, durable set connections rather than like something arbitrary like, you know, a hinge or a tube or whatever. This right here was supposed to be like a little segment, and you see those like bars right there. You could connect a whole bunch of these together to create like, you know, the arc in this direction. This is made out of 1x2, so it'd be able to curve just slightly, and then it would also be able to curve with them all connected, kind of like arc in a little bit. You see those right there, meant to like block this from curving. This was another similar thing right there. There's just plate hinges, and then more just like attempts made out of like curved slopes to try and get like a curved effect, but I decided that wasn't really going to work. I saw some ideas online, which maybe I'll put up on the screen, but just not going to work for the situation. Those are some ball joints. Those are just regular clip hinges and just random other stuff around here now. Anyway, I'm going to try and get a little bit done more on here. Basically, I'm planning on following this technique for like the most of the big length of the ship. Let's see if we can see it up here on the drawing. Basically, from like here all the way down is going to be that right there. Let me get a... It's basically just like everything except for this front section, which you can see right there, right, which is definitely the most like complicated shape-wise area of the ship, which I think I'm going to either try and use a different technique on, or it's just going to be a lot more complicated on the interior. So I want to just keep that separate, and plus I have to actually separate the ship anyway. I did mention that the ship was supposed to separate right there earlier, but I'm not going to do that anymore. I think I'm going to have just like the front cone come off, so that should give me enough length to split it, and that'll be a convenient place to split it anyway. But yeah, so I'm going to try and get some more work done on this. Alright, so after a considerable amount of experimentation here, I've come up with a final design for like the smaller side element that I want to use. I'm going to go with this. That's going to be attached for most of the length of this back area, because obviously just the side is like slightly different than it is near the front, which is these pieces right here, which you can see are just like slightly larger, I guess. You kind of see the difference there, and then back there. That's kind of just what I'm going for, and then there's obviously just going to be like a lot less space back here, so I want to have those side pieces take up less space. Pretty simple. Anyway, now I can get on to just making more of those and attaching them on there, and then figuring out the paneling. Alright, so I think I've come up with a proper mechanism for attaching this top panel now. I don't even want to start thinking about the bottom panel, but I'm really going to have to soon once I get this top one finished. I think what I'm going to do is, oh, by the way, these like side pieces, I'm going to actually just order a few parts for them that I'm going to go pick up tomorrow from a local Bricklink store, so I can actually finish those. But otherwise, I just want to finish this top panel. I might be able to do that like tonight. I think it's already like probably 10 or something, and I'm a little bit sick and I got to go to school tomorrow, but that's fine, because I really got to get a lot of work done in the next like 5 days before I leave. So this might be one in many late nights, but yeah, so this is kind of the mechanism here. I'm trying to get like the strongest attachment I possibly can to this like base here, this base of plates, which is going to have to get more and more clever as we come down the line, as I realize actually it might not, because there won't be as much pressure, which is basically the big problem, because these bricks are flexing. They're going more distance than they are like physically allowed to do, because they're arcing a little bit. So there's a lot of pressure for this to like lift up and just break off. This arch right here in the middle is meant to push them up, and you know, a lot of the pressure is put onto that arch right there. But that's basically how the arch, or how this curve is going to be done. I'll get a little camera set up right now so I can attach it, and just you'll see how this works. Alright, so I got my camera on a tripod now, it just kind of like goes up, and then I have to pull it into place, like, you know, physically put actual strength into pulling it over. But then, I can just show you this right, there's a sort of curve to it. Hopefully I'll get some B-roll footage of that so you can actually see it. And then since these are on ball joints, they're super adjustable, which is going to make them look good in a couple of directions and a couple ways later on, but they're also just like really easy to line up and get into place so that they're pretty flush with this new curved element on the top. There's still a lot of work to do to this. First of all, of course, we got to build it all the way down the ship, and then I also want to add texturing to it. I filmed that part of the video like a stupid long time ago, but I think I mentioned that I wanted to add some sort of texturing like this to the ship because it's like this beat up rebel ship that looks super rough and run down, I guess. So I want to have some other colors and variation and textures in there. Yeah, that's a lot of stuff that's got to get done. I think one thing that's going to look really weird is that the texturing isn't going to be on these curved elements. There's just nothing I can do to get stuff on there except unless I did like decals. If you look at the actual ship, there's like little lights and stuff there. That would be really cool to work in. Probably not going to happen. Maybe if I think of a really good way to get it into these slopes or something, or just totally redesign it later on. I have no idea, but right now, of course, super pressed for time.
Okay, so I've attached at least these bigger pieces that I've made to the side of the body. We're going to see how those really turn out in the end. I'm not exactly sure right now. They do look pretty plain, but I think they're going to give us the best shape that we can possibly get when trying to build a ship like this. I have no idea how the ship is going to turn out in the end. The problem is with building it straight up to the last second, and then basically like being forced to present it because, you know, it's like other people are relying on me on like bringing this, is that there's not a lot of time to improve something if I didn't like really plan it correctly, I guess. So planning was very essential in this mock, so that the building process could go as smoothly as possible, and basically you can get it right just about the first time, and have as little screw-ups as possible, because those screw-ups take time that I just do not have. So I think I'm just gonna about bring this video to a conclusion, and I'm gonna get started working on the next part, which is basically gonna lead up all the way until leaving for Brickworld on Monday. I'm probably just gonna, it's just gonna be a video of me trying to get just like everything I possibly can get done before then, because what I want to do is both finish this ship, that's essential, and then finish Vader's castle, which is also essential, and then if I can, I wanted to build the Death Trooper gun, like the shotgun kind of thing. I really wanted to make that like life-size and everything. That might not be possible, and it might not be a good idea because it's definitely going to be forced a lot, so there's no way I'm going to be able to put the right amount of effort into it because I haven't even begun planning it yet. But maybe we'll see. A lot can happen in a few hours, I guess. Well, maybe. I don't know. I do build pretty slow, but we'll see. We're doing these Rebel Lug live streams because everyone's basically on the same page right now with trying to get stuff done at the very last second. So if you want to check out the Rebel Lug YouTube channel, basically for the next few days, in the last 2 days, we'll be streaming. So we already streamed and there's some streams up right now. Of us just building and talking about Brickworld specifically. So it's pretty cool. Anyway, I really got to get to just editing this video really quick and then getting back to work on this ship so that it can be done before I leave. And also pack up the other things that are on my shelves that I'm going to be bringing, and this stuff. Later.